Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Agustín Pérez, soy el fundador de Sivo Ventures. Traemos al próximo ponente, que es Platform161, a quien representamos en España. Nosotros somos expertos en publicidad programática, venimos del mundo de la publicidad en desktop, en móvil y en in-app. Y bueno, traemos también a Platform porque es un DSP, una plataforma para comprar publicidad, tal y como se compra en desktop, web e in-app, pero ahora también en exterior. Y bueno, pues van a presentar Marvin y Sebastian de MyAdbooker, un SSP, y van a presentar en inglés, entonces les he pedido que hablen despacio para que todos podáis entenderles fácilmente. Muchas gracias.
Well, hello. I'm sorry that it's going to be in English because our Spanish is not that well. My name is Marvin. I work at Platform161, which is a demand-side platform. We've been doing digital out-of-home buying in a programmatic way since 2014. At that time, it was really small. We did the first campaign with Coca-Cola in 2014, and a couple of years there was no movement at all. And this year we see a really big movement in the industry. I do the presentation with my partner Sebastian, which was actually the first SSP making it possible to buy programmatic out-of-home in the Netherlands with Coca-Cola.
Hi. So I'm Sebastian. I'm head of programmatic for MyAdbooker, and as Marvin already illustrated, we started in 2014, and we were looking at the challenge of how to bring out of home into the online environment, so making it possible for advertisers to use one system to buy out of home in a flexible and data-driven way. So out of home is a very peculiar medium if you look at the programmatic system. The difference between an out-of-home screen versus any other inventory that you're going to be buying programmatically is that the location is always fixed. A digital screen doesn't move, a mobile phone does move. So instead of having user-generated data like you have on mobile, on web, the data in out-of-home comes from the context of the environment that you see. So if a location is at a train station, the train station has a different functionality in the morning to the evening, a different functionality in the weekend. If the screens outside here, if Star Wars is playing in this theater, there's a different type of audience that you're trying to reach. So that makes the flexibility of an out-of-home screen very unique to the programmatic ecosystem. So data is available on all levels within the ecosystem. So from a screen perspective, on an SSP level, on a DSP level, and then the advertiser is often sitting on a gold mine of data that they are not utilizing in the correct way. So using a couple of campaigns, we'll try to illustrate some ways that we run real-time programmatic advertising in digital out-of-home on a couple of data sets. So that's purely location-based, looking at traffic. So that can be speed of a vehicle, or if there's traffic jams, you have different creatives. So we'll go into that. Fuel type. So we have, within the inventory that we have, we also have screens at petrol stations where we take the data from the pump in real time and display ads based on that. Flight information, weather, and own data. So we'll use some cases to get into that.
Yes, that's me. So I think it's really cool to show some cases that we've done over the past year. And this is actually for a museum in Amsterdam. And in Amsterdam, there's a lot of tourists. And there's a couple of museums. There's the Van Gogh Museum. There's the Rijksmuseum. There's the big museums in Amsterdam. This relatively small museum wanted to get tourists into their museum using online marketing or out-of-home marketing, but with a small budget. So you really need to have a specific way of targeting the audience. Buying programmatically helps you with specific targeting. If you look at the Amsterdam traffic in the metro or in the train, you see that in the morning, that's mostly people going to work, and in the evening, there's also people going to work. You don't want to spend money as an advertiser in those hours, because you're only targeting the people that are living in Amsterdam. So what we did for this museum is start a specific targeted campaign in the city center of Amsterdam and in the Amsterdam airport, but only between 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because then we avoided the people commuting to work. Next to that, because we are a full DSP, not only out of home, but also mobile and video and web, we decided to do a mobile campaign in the language of the tourists. So we had Russian banners, we had Spanish banners, we had Italian banners. So whenever a tourist came into Amsterdam, opened their phone, they got a banner in their own language from the museum. They walked from the airplane and they saw an ad for the same museum. When they came into the city center of Amsterdam, they also saw an ad for the same museum. So the whole customer journey for them was almost seamless, and the museum saw their ticket sales grow 90% while we are doing the campaign. So for them, it was a campaign that was supposed to be running in the summer only, and now they run it year-round.
Yeah, so it's an interesting campaign because they only spend on out of home, they spend 40 euros a day. So it's a very small budget. They're targeting 6 screens in out of home, but they're very targeted screens. So they're very targeted times, very targeted screens. So with a low budget, having an always on campaign, it gives a lot of flexibility for an advertiser to let go of campaigns as a weekly interval setting, or having seasonality in campaigns, but having an always on campaign targeted at a specific audience. Sorry, it's not reacting. All right. Video is not rendering correct, but what we are trying to show here is fuel type. So this is a campaign for Nissan, and they wanted to target car owners at a specific, with their new electric vehicles. So they targeted screens at Shell. And at Shell we have screens and we have integrated data with the pump. So we get the fuel type, we get the time of day. So it's a bit scattered at the moment, but it's daily use. What type of fuel is being used? So for Mercedes, we're also running a campaign based on if someone fuels V-Power, that has V-Power is a performance fuel, and Mercedes likes their users, their drivers of AMG cars, to refuel with V-Power. So they use the data coming from the pump directly to trigger the campaign that they're running. Weather is also a very simple way of targeting. So especially in Holland, the weather is very volatile. And that can be very difficult for a brand to position their product when they need to be online. So a big case that was there was an example of how it can go completely wrong was Heineken. They had an ice cold product, and because digital out of home was quite inflexible for them, they booked a campaign for 2 weeks, full national campaign. But in June in Holland can be still very volatile. There can be rain, there can be sunshine, and they had their campaign running during the time that it was terrible weather, so it was only raining, and they lost a lot of their budget based on due to the weather conditions, and it was a wasted campaign. So if we start adding simple weather targeting to the campaign, we can create different, more efficient campaigns. So this is for Sunweb, which is a travel agency, and they wanted to advertise only when it's raining, because people think of going on holiday when it's raining, in the Netherlands at least, and they would have a different creative after if the weather was better. So this illustrates just a simple campaign with 2 different creatives, buying at moments that are relevant for them, buying at locations that are relevant for them. And this illustrates when it was below 20 degrees and when it was above 20 degrees. Velux is, they do this, the screens for Windows, and they also used weather targeting as a source, but they used it in a very different way. So they only wanted to display their product when their product was relevant. So only when the sun was shining, so actively shining. So we had the data source set to, if it's cloudy, they do not display their content, but if it's sunshine, they do display the content. And within the creative, the active temperature was shown directly. So this illustrates where it was, the green part is 21 degrees and going up to the temperature. And they ran this campaign for 3 months during the summer. And instead of spending 400,000 euros on a campaign during 3 months being always on, they spread their budget and had a very efficient buy on media based on temperature. The next data source that we use is flight information. So we connected displays at airports, and because we use programmatic advertising and we tag and geolocate all locations that are in the system, we can target specific screens at specific locations. So this was at the airport, and based on delays at the gate, the train company of the Netherlands would promote international train travel instead of flights. So this was a position where if we saw delays in flights, the screen at the gate where the flight was delayed would display the advertisement for the railway. So it's again a hyper-targeted campaign and a data-driven campaign based on the flight information that we have available. We also did campaigns based on a destination. So you would be at gate number 3, and there would be a flight to Barcelona, and the creative would be in Spanish. Again at gate number 3, but the flight would be to London. The content would be in English. So that it gives you a lot of flexibility in targeting.
Yes, that's me. So I think this is the latest addition to our sort of data targeting set for out of home. If you target out of home, any data set that says activate campaign now is actually good data to use in your out of home campaign. So what we did for Pepsi, and I saw a bit in previous presentations about mobile and beacons. Pepsi had different stands at train stations and in in malls to give everybody a taste of the new Pepsi Max flavor. And they had beacons. at the location where they were giving out samples of Pepsi. All the users or all the consumers that were given a Pepsi Max sample, when they walked into a mall, because of their data being existed in our database, we were able to activate all the screens in the mall to the Pepsi Max campaign. So it's sort of retargeting users with out of home. I think this shows that you can do a lot with mobile and out of home combined. This is only the beginning for out of home data targeting. I think we're testing a lot in the industry. This is a good example of a test that doesn't do a lot of volume, because you give out samples to maybe 10,000 people, maybe 2,000 people come into a mall, but it's really targeted impressions that you buy programmatically. And normally you would buy a campaign worth of 10,000 or maybe 20,000 euros, and now they spend maybe 3,000 or 4,000 euros on users or consumers that are already in contact with the brand. So we see that the trend in programmatic is not by high volumes for big brands, but really targeted impressions. We hope to see much more in the future of data targeting. You have anything to add? Thank you very much for your time. I hope it was not too bad that it was in English. You want to...
Gracias. Gracias. Solo dos mensajes. Uno, el tema, la publicidad programática, digamos que prácticamente viene de Holanda y de Estados Unidos. Nos lleva mucha delantera en ese sentido. Y todo lo que hemos visto desde que empezaba allí ha terminado imponiéndose aquí, al igual que toda la estructura que vemos en publicidad online de DSP, Ad Exchange, SSP y Publisher, y la compra a través de los DSPs. Digamos que eso yo creo que es un poco lo diferencial y a lo que al final hemos acabado todos yendo en el mundo online. Hablaban antes de fusión. Yo creo que acabaremos todos comprando por estas herramientas o poniendo nuestro inventario en estas herramientas, al igual que se está haciendo en la publicidad online. Y exterior es posiblemente el paso siguiente, la televisión conectada. Al final va a estar todo en un mismo ecosistema. Muchas gracias.